Wagwan, YouTube Mandem and YouTube Gaudem. It's Multiplier here to tell you how to understand genres in EDM, or I suppose actually any musical genre that you can think of. Maybe you're wondering, what is dubstep? What is trap? What is tropical house? Or maybe what's the difference between house and techno? Or what's drum and bass? Or whatever it is. There will be many more genres in the future, as well as ones in the past. And how do you work out precisely what they are? What you need to do as a very first step, before you look at BPMs or drum patterns or bass lines or snare drums, what you need to do is figure out what it is about that particular genre that gets people excited or interested. For example, in dubstep, it's all about the bass line, how energetic the bass line is, how crazy it sounds, maybe how much impact it has, so when you hear it through a big speaker system, it kind of shakes you to your core in a visceral way. That tends to be what dubstep's about, or as I say, maybe it's just a crazy bass sound that no one's ever heard before. So in that case, maybe it's the sound design alone that gets you interested. Like maybe you just hear a crazy bass sound in dubstep and you're like, what sort of weird alien made that noise? Compared to, say, house or techno, which is more about the groove and the rhythm. You don't see people running about jumping into each other at a house or techno rave, whereas you would at a drum and bass or a dubstep rave. Smash into each other, jump around, flail my arms. Dubstep rave, whereas house and techno rave is more groovy. We're all just having a little dance. Isn't this great? It's a big difference, and it's a much more important difference than, say, the difference in tempo and drum pattern in dubstep or drum and bass than house or techno. So it's very, very important when you first look to understand a genre or learn it, or maybe do a remix in a new genre for the first time, that you understand why people like that genre. And then after you first understand that, then you can figure out all the stuff like what sort of snares do they use, what sort of bass lines do they use, and all that sort of stuff. And so the question then becomes, how do you go about learning or understanding what gets people excited about a particular genre? I have a few little tricks for you. First of all, the more obvious approach, you might say, if it's possible, go to a night, go to a rave, go to a show for that particular genre. And then when you go to a particular night for that particular genre, you'll be able to see how people are interacting with the music. Are they dancing for 8 or 9 hours straight, like in, say, techno? Or are they running about jumping into each other, like in dubstep? Or are they just vibing out? Are they doing some sort of hip-hop swaggery sort of vibe? Whatever it is, when you go to a show, all of a sudden you'll feel that flow of energy. You'll see at which points in the track people get most excited and which bits are just filler, waiting for the most exciting bit. And you'll see how long those flows of energy are. It's different for every genre. In, say, dubstep, it's all about running into each other for 30 seconds and having a little break, then running into each other for another 30 seconds and having a break, and then running into each other for 30 seconds, and then you do that for about 2 hours. And it's great. Whereas in, say, techno, it's not all about the drop, it's about the groove, the energy, the flow. It's about maybe having an interesting build-up the DJ is doing over like 4 minutes, but then it'll be tension and release, so the drop isn't high energy, the build is high energy, and all that sort of stuff. I'd be here for about an hour if I explain the nuance behind every particular genre. But as I say, going to shows is an amazing way to truly get a feel for the genre and what gets people excited. But there is another way. It's not as obvious, but I find it interesting. What you need to do is figure out for a particular genre how people are talking about it. What you need to do is figure out how people are talking about that particular genre. Let's say it's drum and bass, or let's say it's tropical house. Let's go for tropical house. See how the top tropical house enthusiasts in the YouTube comments or SoundCloud or whatever talk about the music. Are they saying stuff like, that bass line is mad filthy, bro. That is whack, but in a good way? Or are they saying, good rhythm, brother, good rhythm, that is fantastic? They probably wouldn't say it like that, but are they talking about the rhythm? Are they talking about the vibe? Are they talking about how euphoric or climactic the breakdown is? Are they talking about how heavy the drop is, or how crazy whatever the element is in the track? The comments people put on tracks and how a DJ talks about that particular genre in an interview should reveal the important components, the important things about that particular genre that get people interested and excited. Excited enough to run into each other or just have a little dance around each other, whatever it is for that particular genre. For reference, tropical house is all about good vibes, and that's about it. Good vibes, good summery vibes, sun's out, having a bit of sunshine, hanging out. That's what tropical house is about. It rhymes. And finally, now that you understand why people like the genre and what makes that genre interesting and exciting, then what you can do is look at the more technical details, stuff like BPM or the kick drum patterns, the snare patterns, the percussion, what sort of bass sound there is, what sort of bass pattern there is, lead, stuff, all that sort of technical stuff is easy enough to understand. All you need to do is pick, say, 10 or 12 or 15 popular, almost like symbolic tracks for that particular genre and analyze them. Run them through Ableton, Track, or whatever it is. Deconstruct them, listen carefully, and you should be able to pick apart how the thing is structured in terms of the different elements and how those elements are sequenced and what sort of sounds there are. And if you're really struggling to analyze tracks yourself and you're just having a hard time deconstructing a track in your head and working out what are the elements and how they're laid out, then the final recommendation I have for you is download some good sample packs for that particular genre, because the good sample packs will actually have all the different elements laid out in different folders. So there'll be like kick drum folder, snare drum folder, percussion folder, bassline folder, and other such folder, sound effects folder, vocal folder, whatever it is. In those sample packs, it will be broken down into all the different elements, so you can see specifically for that particular genre what sort of, say, percussion is used or what sort of snare drums are used and other such things. Fantastic. That has been How to Understand Genres. I have been Multiplier, and I am intonating my voice in a strange way. I've no idea why. I've no idea why, but I know I do know I will catch you guys on the flippity flip.